Welcome, everyone, to the Scaling Smart podcast, where we bring together industry leaders, entrepreneurs, and innovators to discuss key insights, strategies, and experiences that have driven success both for themselves and their customers. I'm Billy Mitchell, your host. Today, I'm excited to introduce a special guest, Joshua Kanter. He's the co-founder and chief data and analytics officer of ConvertML, which is a customer intelligence platform that uses AI, machine learning, and analytics to help businesses improve conversion, retention, and growth by delivering smarter, more personalized customer experiences at scale. Joshua, thanks so much for joining us today. How are you?
Doing great. Thank you for including me. Very happy to be here.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's going to be a good conversation. And as a reminder to our audience, we break down this podcast into three primary topics. Number one, we're going to talk about you, your organization. Personally, I love to get to know you, so I'm excited about that. We want to talk about your industry and your ideal client. So, what do you guys do? Who do you do it for? What's your competition look like? And finally, the meat and potatoes. How are you growing? What does growth and scale look like for you? So, with that, you ready to jump in?
Let's do it.
Sweet. All right, let's start with getting to know you and your business. If you could, and you don't have to keep it in 90 seconds, but I like to just think of the elevator pitch. Tell us a little bit more about ConvertML and yourself.
Okay. Well, I'll start with myself and then segue into ConvertML since I've been around longer than ConvertML. I've been working since the 90s, very long time actually. But I started out my career as a consultant. For more than 12 years, I was doing that, strategy consulting with a focus on marketing, analytical marketing mostly, strategy consulting. I went from there, I became an expert in loyalty strategy, loyalty program design, loyalty marketing. Went into industry. I started out with running the loyalty program at what was then Harrah's and became Caesars Entertainment when I was there. I started with a 16-person organization that just ran the loyalty program and loyalty strategy. But over the 6 years I was there, I gradually got to the point where I ran all of corporate marketing. So I was an SVP of marketing in Las Vegas. I left there. I came down to Phoenix, Arizona, where I now live, to be the chief marketing officer at PetSmart, which is a pet specialty retailer, $7 billion business. Very different than the casino industry, but we had a lot of great opportunities. It's an industry people love. So I did that for a number of years. Also launched the Treats loyalty program, which shout out to all of our 50 million Treats members. And then after that, I went briefly into the travel industry just in time for a global pandemic. Did not turn out well.
Perfect.
And then I spent 5 years working in B2B tech. And that's where I spent the last 5 years, which was a fascinating change from the B2C marketing I had always done to B2B marketing. And what an incredible time to be working in technology with generative AI, kind of came out in the middle of that. And so it's really just been a transformative time. So I have been working through all of that. I've always been analytically minded, right? And more of a performance marketer rather than a brand marketer. And I've done a lot of work through analytics and technology. Then generative AI comes out, and I partnered with Kunal and my other co-founders on ConvertML. And the idea was to bring advanced analytics to make that accessible to marketing leaders, and to not only make insights accessible without the need for like a PhD, data scientist, but also to make them actionable so that you not only are empowered with like statistical insights, but also you have the ability to take action in a timely manner. And that's, I think, the core of our business.
That's very good, and appreciate the detailed background. You actually covered a lot of my follow-up questions, but I'd say good work. But I want to jump a little bit into ConvertML. Being that I have a marketing background as well, Search Logic kind of focuses in on paid advertising. That's our core offering. I'm familiar with analytics data. We love taking CRM data, and we love taking any other business intelligence data, putting it together so that we can build the best campaign, manage the best campaign. What kind of data are you working with? Is it all data? Is it specific to marketing? Is it specific to a slice of the pie of marketing? Walk us through more specifically what ConvertML does and how are we benefiting from using you?
Yeah, it is all the things that you mentioned, and probably broader than the way you described it. Um, what I'd say is primarily it's customer specific data, so customer data in the database as opposed to prospective data. Although we are very close to announcing something that will give us access to broader data sets that go beyond our clients' databases and their host systems like CRMs or their systems of record. So we're going to be introducing some new offerings that relate to prospecting, with some enrichment offerings and the ability to build proprietary propensity models and things like that. That'll be an extension from what we have today. But yeah, we tend to work with the data that you described. A lot of that stuff will exist in, whether it's a Salesforce or a HubSpot or a Klaviyo or something like that. And then there's transactional data in other kinds of systems, whether that's I don't know, CMS, or whether that is your operational systems, your billing or transaction systems. So we were able to kind of ingest. We have a pretty robust set of APIs that can consume data from multiple sources and then fit it into our data model. And I think that the biggest thing that we do differently from a lot of the tools that are out there, because there are a lot of tools that are out there and there are a lot of smart people who care about data and think about data all the time. A lot of those folks are doing what I would call, sort of reporting, or just, they're kind of doing discovery analytics where they're cross-tabbing things and deep drilling down into, subpopulations. All of that's very good, but it's a bit inconsistent in terms of, like your intuition had better be pretty good, to go looking in the right place. Or maybe your experience had better be pretty good. Or maybe the data set you're now looking at had better resemble the experiences you've previously had. So instead of sort of hoping to be kind of spot on with your intuition, what we do is we use advanced analytics to define what are the most meaningful dimensions along which we should do segmentation, as an example. So if you're going to define a target audience, let's not just do it based on the way that everybody has always done it or based on the way that our intuition tells us. Let's actually use advanced statistics to tell us this is a meaningful separation between different populations. And what we're going to do is we're going to pursue this group, which has these characteristics, and it's different from these other groups, which have these other characteristics. So segmentation, proprietary segmentation, is one kind of fundamental enabling capability. And then we also have kind of smart triggers that allow us to see, again, using statistics rather than just crosstabs, to tell us when something is a meaningful departure from the pattern that has existed previously. I think that that's really the biggest difference between the analytical lens that we provide versus what people can find with other tools. Is it's not just about reporting, where you put together a table that's got columns and rows, and then you've got whatever fact you want to put in the cells. It's not just that. It's actually using statistics to tell you this is meaningfully different, either from the trend or from other populations, and then enabling you to take action based on what you know about that population.
That's very interesting, and I think one thing that resonated with me is the meaningful interpretation. Given that we work with data as well and analysis of that data, results, and what's working, what's not working, and I would assume that our conversation will lend it or lead itself into AI at some point. Um, One of the things I wouldn't say struggling, but we're recognizing a limitation of AI today is that meaningful interpretation, right? So when we come across those tools that do that, and we've got a couple of them that we work with that's phenomenal. Um, for instance, this isn't one of those tools, but when we are using chat, to interpret some data or analyze some data, uh, it's very superficial, right? It's very much like, oh, thanks for that recap of the data that we see. What I really want to know is what should I do with this, and what are the things that I'm not thinking about. And so today we still have, well, and we always will. So just as a caveat, but we have a lot of human eyes that need to be on that interpretation, that analysis. So I like the meaningful aspect of that. Is is it fair to say that your tool and service is used at an executive level? Is it used at department heads? Is it all for marketing? Is this product development as well? Talk to us a little bit about the industry, or maybe this is a good leeway into the customers. What are the customers that you work with the most, the best, and have the most success with?
Yeah, first, if I might just comment on your point about AI. AI is incredibly impressive in terms of what, there's 1,000 startups starting every week, feels like, and some of them are silly, but many of them are incredibly impressive. Um, but AI, as amazing as it is, AI doesn't always tell you the right things and it doesn't always do the right things. And so, what we have been doing is harnessing the incredible interpretive power of AI and directing it in a fairly explicit way. Um, we don't just trust that a well written prompt is going to give you high value output. Instead, we have to outline what the thought process is, and it's a series of analytical operations that you need to go through. And part of the value we provide is just knowing what the order of operations would be and how to do the math and all of that. But there are some steps in that chain that historically have required a thoughtful human. And what we're able to do now is break down the thought process into defined discrete steps and structure the AI prompts so that it can emulate what a thoughtful human will do. So that you take some of the luck and some of the chance and some of the superficiality out of what you get in the end. So I think about AI as being like a completely green, inexperienced, like college grad who has no experience, is incredibly enthusiastic, will do anything you ask, stay up all night, they'll give you anything you ask for, but they won't have any idea if it's valuable. They won't have any idea if it's right. And so you've got to give them really explicit guidance to make sure that their energy is deployed in a way that ends up being valuable to you as the end user. So that's my caveat on AI. We're not just putting it and throwing it into this black box, hoping for something valuable to come out. And I'm not saying everybody does that, although from what I've seen, some people are doing that. We're not doing that. So that's the caveat there. Now, you asked me a great question about who are we working with. Um, Generally, we have a few different ICPs, and maybe as a young company, we'll have to get a little bit more focused on one. Um, but there are the analytical tool set that we have. It's primarily for marketers. It's primarily for people who are thinking every day about engaging customers, strengthening relationships through whether it's cross sell or upsell or proactive retention or just churn prevention or even win back. It's people who are managing a portfolio of customers. We do also work in customer acquisition as well. And as I mentioned, we have some announcements that we're going to make in the near future about prospecting, and I'm very excited about that. So we're a full life cycle capability set for marketers who are trying to grow enterprise value through strengthening customer relationships. Having said that, we also have offerings that are really useful for whoever's in charge of customer experience. Right now, this is not necessarily somebody who's running campaigns, but this would be somebody who needs to understand what the trends are in the data, whether that comes from behavioral indicators of engagement, whether it comes from NPS surveys or customer satisfaction surveys. So there's people who are in the operations of the business, not necessarily marketing, who have needs that we service equally well. And then there are specialists like market researchers or even consultancies, marketing consultancies that are working for their clients. And we're partnered with market research shops that do surveys. And so they have this survey data. They can do the crosstabs. They can generate their manual PowerPoints. But what they're really looking for is the next level insights that they can share with their clients. So we work with market researchers. We work with these consultants that help people, whether it's like HubSpot campaign management or digital advertising, consultants who do. So we have offerings for each of those as well.
That's great. And I feel like we're having two chains of conversation, but I want to go back to the AI. I love how
Please.
you said that you're breaking down the thought process of the human, right? Whenever I'm working in chat, I like to call chat Chet because it's my assistant. So whenever I'm working with Chet, I'm giving it a prompt of what I want it to do step by step, but I think the way that you're approaching it and breaking down how you want it to think is really powerful. So I'm excited to actually offline. I'd like to learn a little bit more about the tool and see how we can implement
Yeah.
it in our organization.
We'd be happy to. I mean, we really, ConvertML brings together a few different things that we didn't invent any of that, but we're bringing them together in a form that we think is particularly valuable. There's advanced analytics, right? This is not new. This is things that have existed for decades, but they've been accessible only to people who really deeply understand statistics and analytical methods. And a lot of us just don't have the money to go, or the time to go learn all that stuff or to hire somebody who already knows it, right? So it's the advanced analytics, the deep expertise there. That's one thing, one ingredient. Second is generative AI. As I mentioned, we're able to codify and a lot of the things that previously required a thoughtful human. And then the third thing is automation. And so by automating the analytical methods and the interpretive steps that generative AI can have to generate the insights through automation, now you've got a tool set that can reliably deliver actionable insights to executives who want to not only distill the insights but also take action on them. And that's what we do. We don't do everything under the sun. We do a narrowly defined set of things that we know add value, and we're looking to expand that set, but we also don't want to overpromise. We just want to do what we do incredibly well, and then that creates a foundation that we can expand over time.
Yeah, I think that's a recipe for success for sure. Come to the table with what's working and what customers need, and then figure out what they want, and then deliver on that as well. So I think you're right on that path. Let's jump into the industry as a whole. You've talked a little bit about the fact that yeah, there are others who do similar things. Some are good, some are not good, just like really any other industry for that matter. Um, but what are you guys doing that others are not? And where is your industry going? What you don't have to go into specifics because I know you've got some things kind of behind the scenes that you're getting ready to launch, but what is the next 5 to 10 years? And I actually laugh to even think
You told me
10
you were going to
years.
ask the 5 to 10 year question, and
Yeah.
I chuckled just like you did. It's hard to
Yeah.
predict anything beyond say 2 years.
Exactly. Yep. So I was just going to say you took it out of my mouth, but let's say what's going to happen over the next 3 years. Let's get that.
Sure. Yeah, the space where we're playing, there are a lot of tools out there that are sort of they're BI tools or visualization tools or just reporting tools. And what they do really well, uh, and some of them do these things better than we do. Again, we're young, we have our work cut out for us. But what they do rather well is they bring together different data sets and then they present them in an intuitive way so that they can be understood by end users. And some of them allow you to kind of drill into certain specific subpopulations or to visualize a trend so that you can easily communicate it to a different audience who's less familiar with the data than you are. And I think that all of that is incredibly valuable. What we do that's different is that we apply not just reporting, right, which is the crosstabs and here's the facts, right? We apply a statistical lens that will identify things that are out of pattern, whether it means statistically different from other populations or a statistical departure from the trend in your series of data. Uh, and we think that that is differentiating on its own. But beyond that, what we also do is we've built this product to not only arm people with insights, but give them a mechanism by which they can automate the timely action from that insight. it's not gonna it's not gonna make all the decisions for our clients, and we wouldn't want to be responsible for a half-baked idea that got implemented at scale. But we create a mechanism by which they can identify the populations where something is going on, and then have a crafted strategy for engaging them that we trigger on their behalf in their host systems, and allow them to take timely action on it. Because some of the pain that our customers tell us about every time we talk to them is, look, I can't get in queue with the advanced analytics team, and so I can't even get the analysis run, or when I do, it takes a long period of time, and what I get on the other end isn't really an answer to my question. Or after I get the answer, then I have to submit a second request to get the list so that I can then take action, and they're just not able to intervene at a time that would create or preserve value for the organization. So we solve all of that by doing continuous monitoring of these things. We have a defined set of offerings that will monitor things like changes to your churn, your likelihood of churn, your receptivity to cross sell or upsell, changes in channel mix, changes in usage. So those are the kinds of things that we are monitoring on behalf of our clients, and we can tell people something meaningful is going on here. And if they choose, they can also use that as a trigger to then take action through their host systems. And that cuts out a lot of the delay that frustrates marketers who are just trying to create value in the organization. Today, they have all these manual processes. They're beholden to other groups that are single threaded through scarce resources. And we're able to kind of shortcut all of that for them so they can get to the real business of creating value in the organization.
That's good. It's related but unrelated. I like the speed at which you can make decisions and implement the work. I was having a conversation with somebody who works at a very large organization, and we were joking about how by the time that an approval happens on a marketing tactic, the marketing tactic is no longer valuable. And
It's no
so that
longer
speed is
relevant.
incredible. Yeah, exactly.
No, exactly. And, I remember when Salesforce came out, this is a little bit of a stretch of a metaphor, but Salesforce, made a really big impact on the market, I don't know, 20 years ago or whatever, because it put in the hands of the end user all of the capabilities that they needed to structure and then manage their own go-to-market strategy. They didn't need IT. And so it used to be, I mean, this is a long time ago, it's a slightly different situation, but you had to like put together a proposal for like the capital committee and the IT steering committee, and then all that would get approved, and then it'd go through a 9-month deployment. And it was just so cumbersome that having this really kind of slick, user-friendly interface that allowed you to configure things on your own and get to the business of doing your work, that was really disruptive. Now, I think they've lost their way a little bit. Now you need IT to manage Salesforce. I'm not trying
It's
to,
incredible.
toot their horn or disparage them. I'm just saying it's no longer, the thing that made it so disruptive at the time is no longer as clear these days. But here, and I'm not talking about IT in this case. In this case, I'm talking about your advanced analytics team, if you have one,
Mhm.
right? That group, there's 25 different internal clients that are trying to get that group's attention every day. And I have a lot of sympathy for them. How can they possibly meet with that kind of demand with integrity in a timely manner? And they can't. So what we've done is we've carved out a handful of things that we know to be really valuable for the organization, and we put that in the hands of their clients. Now their clients can self-serve and take action, which is all they want to do anyway.
That's good. I love it. Let's move into the kind of the meat and potatoes, as I said earlier, about growth and scale. Obviously, you're a newer organization, but you're pursuing growth just like anybody else. What are you guys doing right now to get new customers? How are you growing? What's working? What's not working?
Um, so we are very young. We've probably been live with our first client for less than 6 months, but but in the first 6 months, I think right now our major focus is just making sure that we are delivering the value we promise. We've been fortunate enough through our funding that we don't. It's not a life and death situation for us to bring in more clients, because there's always this tension between somebody's asking for something that's related to what we're offering, but not quite, and we'd have to do some more development to sort of, kludge it a little bit. And I'm pleased to say that we're sort of resisting that temptation, generally speaking. There are, of course, new ideas that our clients bring to us that we're like, wow, why didn't we think of that? We should definitely, introduce that. And so we are doing some of that. But right now, our focus is really on the integrity and the value of the offering that we have developed. So we have a small set of clients. We're getting the word out through thought leadership. We're going to be speaking at a couple of conferences this fall. As I said, we have a pretty big announcement that we'll be making in the next month or two, and we've been keeping our growth fueled by, social advertising, which is no surprise, but also professional networks. I have some that I've accumulated over 20 something years of professional experience. My co-founders have as well. We've got some clients, some of which we've known for quite a long time. And some of those clients are actually, as I mentioned, like partner clients, like the research, house that serves, I don't know, 20 or 30 clients of their own. We're not relevant to all of them, but we're relevant to some of them. And so that's one mechanism to kind of get into new clients. Or a consultancy that works with people who are just trying to. There's one that's a partner of ours who specializes only in HubSpot, right? And so they've got dozens of clients. We're not relevant for all of them, but we're relevant for a few, and that's enough for us as a young company trying to make sure that we're fully maturing on all of the elements of our offering. What I look forward to, because I'm a marketer by training, as you know, what I'm really looking forward to is ticking off all the boxes that we have right now, and then saying, okay, now we're going to put a lot of money into advertising and making a big splash. We're not really at that stage yet. We're serving a half dozen clients right now, and it's where we need to be. But I'm really excited because of the value we're already creating to see, what will be coming, by the end of this calendar year.
That's good. And yeah, you nailed it. Because when, early on in Search Logic, we were all things to all people. And that gets real tiring real quick. And it's also a habit that's hard to break. So the fact that you are controlled enough, I think speaks to wisdom, that you can say no and or not now. So that's good. Looking to the future, you started to mention a little bit right there at the end. So looking kind of into the marketing future or the growth future. Um, I love partnerships. Partnerships to me is, if I could only grow through partnerships, I would love it because um, it's, first of all, I've got a book of business, you have a book of business. How can we help each other? And like you said, doesn't mean that you're going to get every single customer or I'm going to get every single customer, but there's a few of them in there that are going to be really valuable. So with your current partners today, what makes that partnership successful? How are you working together to support each other? What are some of those key metrics?
Yeah. Well, I wish I had a metric I could just give you. I suppose it would be a percent of our revenue, and I don't want to make it up, so I'm not going to give you a number, but it's larger than I would have guessed at this stage of our company. Um, what's working really well about those relationships? One of them started as an advisor relationship that is someone we approached as an industry expert. We wanted his perspectives on our business and what the opportunities would be. And as we tapped into that and he got to understand what we're doing, he's saying, guys, this my company needs to offer this to our clients. And that sort of kind of organically came out. Another partner relationship is someone I used to work with 15 years ago. We've remained friends and connected. And so she's a client, but she is a client who brings us other clients. And so all of those things, and that's the trust that we had developed just through our professional working relationship over many years. Um, we don't have the luxury of being in this little bubble we're in right now for very long, but we are trying to make strategic use of it to make sure that our offering itself is going to be able to meet the promise that we're putting out in market. We have to live up to what people are hearing and expecting from our platform, or we're kind of dead in the water. So we understand that. We take that very seriously. That's the reason we're so focused on product development. Even though we're live and servicing clients today, we're trying to make sure that the next wave of clients we bring on, what they get is as good or better than what they are expecting.
That's good. I love it. I think that's a really good spot to transition to kind of land in the plane here. I didn't prep you for this, but I like to end on a lightning round. So I've got a series of questions I'm going to ask you. Um, for the most part, just first thing that comes to your mind. There is a question that maybe is going to take a little bit more time, which I'm 100% okay with because I think it's a great question. But with that, are you ready for a lightning round?
I had no idea this was coming, so let's see how it goes.
I promise you they're super easy questions. All right, here we go.
All right,
First one, coffee or tea?
water.
Oh, it's good. That's what I got going on here as well. Although I've had quite a bit of caffeine. In next,
I've never had a cup of coffee in my life, and I drink tea when I'm sick. So water.
you might be the first person that I've ever met to have that. That's impressive. I like it. I wish I could say the same almost. All right, what's one tool or system you rely on to keep your organization running smoothly?
We use Fathom, note taker
Yep.
technology. I am continually in awe of. I'm sure there's a team out there of people like me and my team that like put this thing together. I have been consistently impressed with the subtlety and nuance of understanding that comes through in the notes. I just can't recommend it highly enough for everybody. It just keeps us on task. It distills what next steps are, what we discussed. If someone misses a meeting, they just have to read the Fathom sort of summary, and it's like they didn't miss it.
It's funny you'd say that. I We use Grain as an organization, which is similar. However, the user experience with Fathom, I have found, especially as a guest, and as you just said, a guest when I'm not able to make the meeting, that's phenomenal. Some of those things, it's incredible.
Well, especially when we're talking about technical topics, it doesn't seem to miss a beat. So
That's
that's a
good.
tool that my co-founder brought it to me. I didn't know what it was, and then I started seeing these summaries, and I thought he had done something, but it just does it automatically. So,
It's good. I love it. All right, favorite book, podcast, or resource that's influenced you?
oh boy, I'll tell you my favorite book. Although I don't know if it's influenced me, I just want to get the word out. Cryptonomicon by Neil Stephenson, historical fiction book about the writing and breaking of codes in World War II, and
Cool.
also it has four protagonists. One of them is in the late '90s tech boom. Um, Excellent, smart, funny, historically accurate, mostly, but great book, Cryptonomicon. It's a mouthful to say, and you'll have to figure out how to write it, but I can't recommend that book highly enough.
I love it. I've never once regretted buying a book, so that I'm going to go to Amazon and get that book next. All right, you can take a few seconds on this one because it's a little bit of a deeper question. But what's one of the biggest challenges you've faced in your career? How has it shaped you, and how has it changed how you approach your business?
Yeah. Um, I think that the biggest challenge I've faced professionally was um, right when the pandemic hit. I mentioned in the intro that I had, in 2019, moved into a company that at the time was called International Cruise and Excursions. It's a travel company. Yeah, I see that look on your face. You remember
Yeah.
that cruise was like right in the middle of all of this stuff around December,
Yeah.
January of like 2020.
Hmm.
I've always loved, travel and hospitality. And I took this job after leaving PetSmart. I was really excited about it, and we were starting to grow. And first thing I was going to do, by the way, was rebrand that company. That company still exists. It's called Arivia now, which is a better name, in my opinion, for a travel company than International Cruise and Excursions, which is not only a mouthful, it also has the acronym ICE, which is another another doozy for us marketers.
That's good.
that company has been rebranded. I helped them do that. They're now called Arivia. Um, but we were just getting started on all of the important, exciting stuff, and then the pandemic hit, and I lost my job along with like 80% of the company within a month of the global pandemic. And 3 weeks after I lost my job in the global pandemic, my wife and I found out we're expecting my incredible 4 year old. So I had no job and a pregnant wife in a global pandemic. And that, I will tell you, nothing focuses the mind like that kind of circumstance. And so I ended up I ended up taking a job that was completely discontinuous from everything I'd ever done before. I'd always been a data driven marketer doing B2C or B2B2C work. And I ended up taking a job in B2B tech services. And at first, I thought it was just a placeholder for health insurance, right? I mean, that was the top of my mind. But it turned out to be an incredible experience, and I was there for 5 years. I just recently left. But the lesson I take from it is you've got to stay humble and you've got to stay curious, right? You've got to be open to starting from scratch and learning something every day so that you can kind of add value in the ways that you know how. And in some ways, I was a complete novice coming into B2B. And in other ways, I was able to draw on experiences that I had from completely different contexts that were very, very valuable. They had just not been tried in B2B. Um, but I think all of us, you know, can benefit from bringing that kind of a mindset, that learner's mindset, into the work that we do, especially in this age of AI, when everything is just changing so fast every day, every week, every month. There's something monumental that's happening, and so we've got to recognize that if you're not learning continuously, you're falling behind. And so that's really what I did. And I've been working for a long time. And I had the option to rest on my laurels and say, well, I know everything there is to know. And I didn't do that. And I'm so glad I didn't, because I learned so much that I didn't even know existed through that experience. So that's kind of the most challenging thing I've ever experienced professionally, but also maybe the most rewarding thing I've ever experienced professionally.
I think that's perfect. And we're interviewing for some new roles at the company, and just talking to one of the candidates how curiosity is one of the most important traits in working here. You've got to be able to look at something and go, that's interesting. Why is it that way? And it could be, why is it so good? Or why is it so bad? Or if it's good, is it really good, or are we actually got a problem here, right? And so the trait of curiosity is one that is, I don't even know if you can train it. You can encourage it, but it's not it. You either are curious or you're not. And maybe it's just that you're not interested in what you're doing. But curiosity is such an important trait in the human nature and your development and your growth. So I'm 100% on board. I think that's a wonderful lesson, and good on you for leaning in. To be honest with you, I can't imagine having a child at that moment. I had young kids at that moment, and I know because we've talked to you, I have older kids as well. So you've been there, done that. But having young kids was difficult enough. Having a pregnant wife has got to be something else.
It was, I mean, look, I would never wish a pandemic on anyone, but it was a real blessing for me because I was able to be home with my wife, not only through the pregnancy, but then also in my daughter's first, couple of years. I've been home every day. Before that, you were off in the office every day. And I
Yeah.
just, if I think about everything I would have missed if the world hadn't changed in that way, it sort of breaks my heart, So again, I apologize for sort of saying nice things about the pandemic, but for me, it's been a blessing in disguise.
I love it. All right, couple more questions, much easier ones now. What's one bucket list item you've already checked off?
Uh, Sundance Film Festival.
Oh, cool.
That was yeah. So I've always been a lover of independent film. A friend of mine asked me as his best man to. He didn't want like a traditional bachelor party. He just said, "Hey, closest friends. Let's go to Sundance. You're my best man. Figure it out. And we did it, and we had such a good time. We went back years and years in a row. So, but that's one that I never thought I would. I don't know if it was officially on the bucket list, but it deserves to be on people's bucket lists, and I've done it, and I, I give it a full throated endorsement.
Very cool. I never thought that that would be on my list, but I think I have to add it after that. So, all right, one more. What's one goal that you're still working towards?
Um, I come from a family of educators. My mom was a first grade teacher. My grandmother was a high school history teacher. My father did training consulting where he would develop adult learning and training kind of systems in a corporate setting. Um, when I grow up someday, it is my hope and aspiration to be a high school math teacher or maybe statistics or physics or something, something like that. And I don't know that I have a lot of years in me, maybe 5 or so, but someday I want to teach public high school, something in that space, analytical. So someday that's what I hope I get to do.
Very cool, Joshua. I love that. I think it's a great way to end. So, with that, if our listeners want to get in contact with you, what's one of the best ways to do that?
You can go to convertml.ai, or you can shoot me an email. It's joshua.cantor@convertml.ai.
Perfect. Well, for everybody else, that's a wrap of this episode of Scaling Smart. I'm your host, Billy Mitchell, and I want to thank you for tuning in to the Scaling Smart podcast, where we have conversations with real people who have real stories who have learned how to scale smart.